Hello Nigeria and hello Nigerians. It's that time again of True Nigerians, Heroes of Our Time, a program where we bring to you Nigerians that are worth emulating, Nigerians that are role models, Nigerians that have done us proud in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Today, my guest on the program is heavy. It's a man whom his pedigree is very encouraging and inspiring. I don't want to go into the details of his pedigree. I'm sure as the program goes on, you would find out why we have been insisting and why for a long time we've been trying to get our guest on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on True Nigerians, Heroes of Our Time, I have the Honorable Minister of State for Steel Development, UBA MAIGARI Ahmed. My pleasure to have you, sir.
Pleasure is mine. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Our first and traditional question.
Yeah.
What is your definition of a true Nigerian?
My perception of a true Nigerian is that Nigerian who gives his all to the nation and has always the nation as topmost priority in all his decisions, irrespective of where people he meets come from and irrespective of what religion they profess. These two issues have been, according to how I look at it, the major harbinger to the progress and development of this country. So, in summation, I will think a true Nigerian should be that person who encapsulates all these virtues I've mentioned and puts Nigeria first on his table of priorities.
Very correct, sir. You are the current Minister of State for Steel Development. For the layman on the street, what is the purpose? What are the activities? What has so far been the achievement of the ministry?
Thank you very much. Let me first of all thank His Excellency, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu CFR, for this wonderful opportunity to serve our country. We were appointed ministers and assigned to the Ministry of Steel Development the 21st of August 2023. Before now, it used to be one big ministry with mines, steel, and solid minerals development all under one roof.
Yes.
But in his wisdom and the drive to pay serious attention to steel development, which the world over has been identified as like the major bedrock of any serious industrial development for any country,
Very true.
decided to create a separate ministry out of the old one to pay serious attention to steel development. Like I said, the major focus, of course, is to get our industrial base right, having been put together surprisingly about 40 years ago by previous administrations, President Shagari's administration to be specific. But you agree with me that we've had periods of interregnum in between. And as administrations come and go, they differ in their attention to the steel sector. Putting this all together, Mr. President decided to appoint us and charge us with the task of reviving Nigeria's steel sector. Reviving Nigeria's steel sector does not just end with policy formulation or regulation of the activities in the sector. It also involves taking charge directly of the assets of the Ministry of Steel Development. I'm sure you know about Ajaokuta Steel Complex.
Yes, I'm going to.
Ajaokuta is like the favorite child in the ministry for very obvious reasons. That's where the major activity of the ministry is supposed to be. But besides Ajaokuta, we have Nyonko, which is simply Nigerian Iron Ore Mining Company in Itakwe, Kogi State, which is supposed to be the minerals, raw materials base or raw materials source of Ajaokuta. The company was set up to serve as the raw material source to service Ajaokuta. You know that steel is made basically with iron ore, bauxite, and coking coal and some other raw materials. Nyonko was set up to just do that. We also have another agency in Kaduna. It's called Steel Raw Materials Exploration and Development Agency. Like the name suggests, you don't wait until you run out of raw materials before you start looking for them. So those who envisioned this great initiative thought it wise to also plan for the future by setting up an agency specifically to handle exploration of raw materials. We have another one in Jos, Steel Development Council Agency, sorry. Like the name suggests to take charge of that angle of the steel ministry. But the one that intrigues me the most is this one in Onitsha called the Metallurgical Training Institute. It was set up to serve as the manpower base. The institute was set up to produce middle cadre manpower to service the steel sector. Incidentally too, it was set up about the same time with Ajaokuta in Onitsha. It's actually sitting on Obosi land. That one is a different matter altogether. But for all intents and purposes, the institute is called Metallurgical Training Institute in Onitsha, southeast Nigeria. Why I said that that is one place that intrigues me the most in the ministry is because when we took a tour, the first time we went there in October 2023, I had something else in mind, but when we got there, I was surprised to find wonderful Nigerians, young people from all over the country, some from as far-flung places as Jigawa, Bauchi, Yobe, and virtually all the states of the country put together there. And what are they being taught? Basics in systems control and instrumentation, welding, metal fabrication, foundries, technical things like that. And they have a curriculum, a very beautiful curriculum, which runs 3 years. The first 2 years, they are taught a theoretical aspect of all this. And then you have the students, that is, have the latitude to choose what they want to specialize on in the third year. And when they graduate, eventually, the issues is actually accredited by NAPTEP. We're working on upscaling the institute such that they have Cisco certification to enable these young persons qualify for job placements anywhere in the world, and thereby getting either employed or being employers themselves, which mostly the students choose to do. That is one pet project we are working on, and we are seriously paying attention to, because where we are right now as a country, you know, the pressure on the dollar, the mono economy, and we want to diversify, make our contributions in that respect. You agree with me that when these young men go out there, qualify and get the necessary certification, qualify, go out there and work everywhere, anywhere in the world and earn Forex, they repatriate some back home, and it reduces the pressure on the dollar we get through the export of basic raw material, basic crude that has been the problem with this country for a very long time. So let me not take too much of your time. We are doing quite a lot, and so far, so good.
My worry is it's a fantastic project. I think that is what Nigeria needs.
Very true.
But it has been there since 1980.
81 actually took off. 81.
In fact, it was when I started inquiring about you for this program that I found out about it, because I saw that it was a project that you are passionate about, which is key and very good in terms of employment and everything, anyhow you look at it.
Yes.
Why is it's not popular? We don't know about it. Shouldn't we sensitize so that more parents and more people would encourage their children to go to such schools? I mean, but we don't even know about it.
There is this mindset with parents generally in our generation growing up, and the attachment to certificates and certification. Every parent would want his son to be a lawyer, to be a medical doctor, an engineer, like that. Parents in our time taught, and to some extent, some parents still do, that your child has to be a university graduate. I think it is a mindset thing which is largely responsible for pushing young people away from this technical education, because they already feel from the home that unless you go to the university and you have a degree, or you're a lawyer, an engineer, any other thing, you are not like the proper child the parent will want to. But you know, you're widely traveled, you know that out there around the world, technical people get paid more than the regular professionals. You know how much you pay a plumber in the UK when you call one to fix your tap. After an hour or 30 minutes, you get paid heavily. So we're moving away from that mindset, trying to instill in our young lads now that there is actually dignity in labor, and it doesn't matter what appellation you carry. The most important is your contribution to society. This school was set up by through a collaboration between the Nigerian government and German government. In fact, the Germans put down 80% of whatever you see there, infrastructure, manpower, then the Nigerian government did 20%. Back to your question of why it's not too popular, I wouldn't be responsible for the lapses of some people who have been there. Everybody has his priorities. Some come and look at other areas. This one, like I said, is probably because of my background. I have this attachment to seeing how people move up. And you can't have an institute, a beautiful one for that matter, and just let it go. So I'm sure it aligns, and it also aligns with Mr. President's lofty ideals and renewed hope agenda, trying to reset the country. How do we do that? We pay attention to the youth population. Unless we get that settled, we'll keep having tops and tons like that of problems. You live in Nigeria, you know all the issues, and you know the pressure from the youth population, and unless we, like it is said, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. You don't get them involved in productive enterprises, it causes problems for you. So it benefits us more if we pay attention to such places. And incidentally, as we speak, we just rolled out a program that is somehow has something to do with the institute. I'm sure you saw an advert from the ministry advertising for interested persons between the ages of 18 to 40, who are interested in being trained. This is like a boot camp. Well, I've just taken 1 month, 30 days, like a crash program to train young people who are interested in metal fabrication, welding, foundries, and jobs like that, so that they have things to do, after which we intend to give them starter packs. They go and set up on their own. And when you do that regularly, we had wanted to take 10,000, but for budgetary constraints, we cut down to 1,000, and afterwards settled at 700. But we intend to put them together in Onitsha, the same institute I told you about. That is where we intend to train them so that they have a field.
Okay, my next question is a bit long, so let me read it. What level of attention or involvement do you intend to give the National Steel Raw Materials Exploration Agency, given the fact that, you know, usually Nigerians don't take research institutes seriously. And we know that research institutes are key, you know, because they get to give us some form of direction so that we don't waste resources. So what kind of attention are you giving the that particular institute?
We are also working on it greatly. Naturally, I am not a person given to doing things in half measures. So alongside my team, we also undertook a facility tour of the agency last year. And it was essentially just to give us basic information of what they have on ground, what their needs are, and also their challenges. We saw them all. We looked at their facilities, took stock of everything that was there, and of course, their needs, balancing it with what we can afford. On the table of priorities, they have, like you rightly said, it is a very sensitive aspect of the work we do here. If you don't get the research and exploration results right, you definitely don't get the end product right. So we are paying attention in the sense that we have written to through the normal budget proposals. We have sent in our request of the most needed equipment there now. There is this one that is called the Diamond Head cold drill drilling rig. It's very expensive, but what's needed to be done has to be done in any case. We are also partnering with the Nigerian Governors Forum. As we speak, we've sent in letters. We are waiting for responses to collaborate with them. What do we intend to do? There's so much attention being paid to oil. We're preparing the subnationals ahead of the day. Someday we either get ahead or we are left behind. We cannot just continue paying attention just to receiving handouts after agreement. I'm talking about the subnationals now. So we are sensitizing the states, especially now that there is competition for scarce resources. So we are prepared. We intend to collaborate with the states to prepare them. Every state in this country is blessed with one rich resource or the other. So we are not waiting until that doomsday scenario unfolds. No, we are preparing the states to look into what they have. Mineral resource is even the way to go the world over now. We are partnering with them, like I said, to develop using the exploration agency, not necessarily just to concentrate on exploration of steel raw materials now. I hope you get the difference. Because they have equipment to virtually explore everything that is beneath the earth, from the computers to the direct equipment. So we are preparing the agency for commercial activities such that they can earn money for themselves, so to be self-sustaining and be of greater use to the country. And that's where we are.
My next question is still on Ajaokuta steel industry, which is the mother of them all, if you agree with me.
Yes.
And a lot has happened. Every time for travelers like us who pass by and look at the size and the amount of resources that was spent to build that place, it's painful.
Quite true.
I remember having another guest on this program, in fact, the governor of Nasarawa State, who also...
the wonderful Nigeria.
Yes. Who said that from his analysis, the reason for closing down Ajaokuta steel industry was not necessary. Even if you say it's obsolete, they are still using the same pattern in Russia. That brings me back to government policies and implementation. So, first, how is your regime? How would your regime now, as Minister of State for Steel Development, affect Ajaokuta steel industry? It's a very important project for all Nigerians. What are you doing differently that in return would bring back to life Ajaokuta steel industry? Second question, government policies and implementation. What is the reason why there are so many policies, good policies, but implementation is always a problem?
Okay, let me take the first one.
Okay, sir.
Everyone knows about Ajaokuta.
Okay.
It's virtually on the lips of every Nigerian. And for us in the Ministry of Steel, you get asked over and over again, why is Ajaokuta not working? And so many other issues. It's a potpourri of sorts. It's been there for 40 years. And like I said, everyone knows the story. It's rather unfortunate that it has taken this long in that state. I do not want to keep peeping blames on people. We have a job to do. We are doing it. We've drawn the line. We'll be responsible for what we are able to do during our tenure and not those who were there before us. We would have wished it was taken more seriously and fixed earlier than now. But like I always say, you can't be responsible for someone else's mistakes. What are we doing about it? We are two ministers here. My colleague is directly in charge of Ajaokuta. Falls within his purview. That is not to say that I don't know what's going on. Of course, as a team, we work together, and I know where it is. Right now, we are at the point of getting it. Of course, it is a number one priority for the ministry. We are at the point of, we've finished taking stock of where it is, what the problems are, and what we think from the ministry. The technical people in the ministry, and of course, the two of us that oversee the ministry as ministers. But the most important and the most critical aspect is the final decision-making point. And that is the responsibility of Mr. President, our boss, and that will be taken at the Federal Executive Council level. But before then, I think Nigerians need to know some basic facts about where Ajaokuta is. There is erroneous notion out there that Ajaokuta is not workable. It is obsolete, like you said. It's just scrap and needs to be just pieces, and let's forget about it and move on. No, it's not as bad as that. And one important aspect that I too, as a Nigerian, hold is there is this emotional attachment to a national asset. When people suggest that Ajaokuta be sold outrightly, there is this part that doesn't just sit well. Well, considering my background from the private sector, I would of course want Ajaokuta to work profitably. And that is the way to look at government investments. If it doesn't generate profit and conversely waits or feeds on lean government resources, I think something needs to be done urgently about that. But there are 43 independent units, so to speak, of the complex. There's the engineering workshop, there's the light steel mill, just many other component parts that can work independently of each other.
This country needs unity. We need peace.
I'm all for renegotiating the terms of our coexistence. We have to renegotiate it.
The youth have been misguided, unfortunately. You know,
I like my country. I like the land and people.
Hey, look, I have 40% shares in this company. So if I had known that you...
Judges are either corrupted or they are afraid of giving judgment.
There's no stopping us.
No stopping.
But government requires more revenue to make sure that these initiatives...
Give us a better Nigeria! Give us a better...
Youth are the vehicles of change. The youth are the answer.